Namaste. The concept of arrival fallacy says that even after you achieve a goal, you will not get enough satisfaction to overcome depression or anxiety. Even after a goal achievement, the happiness will last for a very short time, and again you will start on a new craving, a new path, a new goal. This concept comes from the fact that conditions of schooling are such that children are motivated through goal achievement. But you realize that as children grow older, they become more and more tense, because after having achieved so many goals, they do not feel that happiness comes to stay, as if they are being fooled and betrayed all the time. And then they become very angry with parents that parents are forcing them to go to school, but happiness is not staying even if they get 90%, 100%. And then you see that children also become depressed, and in psychiatric wards you see that there is one depressed child almost every day, or there are 2-3 depressed children who simply are fed up with studying. They are fed up with performing, and they are realizing that however much they have performed, happiness has not stayed in their lives. So our intention, of course, is not to cheat our children. Our intention is to help them learn and evolve. Why? Just as God helps us learn and evolve. So we see that even in our life, when we earn money, the money just disappears after some time, and we have to restart the process of earning money. If you have a regular income, you realize that every month you are starting new projects to get that income. So, the income comes and lasts for 2 days or 3 days, and then again you are working the whole day in hope of the income at the end of the month. So, this is the process of positive reinforcement, where you get something for working, but that reinforcer is a very small amount of the amount of work which you have done. For example, when we teach children to speak, we give them a packet of chips at the end of the exercise, half an hour. We force them to speak, and they are crying and they cannot speak, and they have autism or speech disabilities, and it's a very traumatic process. At the end, we give them an ice cream or a packet of chips, and they are happy. But we are drained out because we don't give the award to ourselves. Similarly, you keep asking God for help, God gets drained out, and then you realize that you get your reward, but then the reward lasts for a very short time, and then you are asked to rework so that you can speak yourself, you can do your work yourself. So the concept of atheism is wrong, because you are supposed to do your work yourself. So whether you are an atheist or a believer, past life regression therapy works simply because you are supposed to do your work yourself. And even if you don't pray, you are supposed to do the work of creation. You are supposed to do the work of positive manifestation. Praying helps. Praying is like there is a parent or a teacher next to you, and they are guiding continuously while you are working. They are sending thoughts inside your head that, okay, do this, so you get the right results. Their experience helps you. Atheism is like you block the thought of God, and then you try to do it on your own, and you realize that I have seen a lot of atheists, and they have a lot more anxiety than believers do, because there is no support. They feel they have to do it on their own, and they are negative, they are bitter. I come from a family where my grandparents were very, very religious, and my parents were and uncles were absolute atheists, like absolute denial of religion. And fortunately they were working, so my grandparents brought us up. So I became a very, very much a believer. But I have had to rebel against my family to do the work of spirituality, because they just don't believe. Even if you mention God, they say it is superstition. If you say that God spoke to me, they say it is your imagination. You are are you going crazy? Are you normal? So then I have to give proof that this has happened, and then they believe. If I speak to a psychologist, they believe me. Because as a psychologist, I know that we get intuitions, we get thought transfers, we catch thought from a mass consciousness. Like Carl Jung said that collective consciousness sends thoughts in your head. You are reacting to a collective consciousness, you are receiving from a collective consciousness. So these concepts exist, and it is believed in psychology, it is believed by psychiatrists, but laymen disregard you as if, Everything has to be rational and with evidence, and otherwise it doesn't exist. And that is complete denial of the process of learning, because the process of learning will pass through jumps of faith. There will be leaps of faith, and it's like when you boil water, suddenly it starts boiling and then it disappears. Similarly, learning is the same. As you are learning, suddenly you achieve a new realization and the old beliefs and values disappear. So you have to understand that the process of working is important. Whether your goal is achieved or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you learn positivity in the process of thinking on a regular basis. So you realize that all the very rich people are as unhappy as the middle class people. Poor are happier. Normally, if I have taken well-being surveys, and poor are happier. Middle class, higher middle class is there's a lot of unhappiness, and in the rich also. So they have a lot of stress, paying salaries, performance, winning awards, living up to a certain level of income. All these stress which poor people just ignore as if it doesn't exist. They have their own struggles of survival, food, and it's a little higher than the animal struggle. Animal struggle is again survival, food. So poor people have house, clothes, basic clothes, and a lot of them acquire calmness in the process, like monks, and they can just ignore and have a healthy body, good sleep, and they feel satisfied with their life. So there is no goal to achieve. So there is no depression at the end of achieving the goal, that happiness has not come. Whereas people who are creative, they have this arrival fallacy that they have a goal to achieve, and then happiness does not come, and they are like wondering what happened, and then they get into depression. So you have to be careful that when you are working, remember this, that it is the work which has to make you positive, and the happiness which comes at the end of work will last for a very short time. You will again have to focus on positive thinking. And positive thinking is like exercise. It's like climbing up a mountain. It's a constant process of evolution. If you have 1 lakh thoughts in a day, you should have around 57,000 thoughts which are positive. You cannot afford to have only 30,000 thoughts which are positive and 70,000 negative. At least above 50% your thinking has to be positive. Ideally you should have 70,000 thoughts which are positive, and 30 will be naturally negative. Because our earth will live in cycles of negativity and positivity, darkness and positive. So negativity is important to learn soul lessons, to create new inventions, like impatience created aeroplanes, mobile phones. You go to school because you want to learn something, because there is deprivation of love in your life, and then you want to perform so that your parents show love to you. You send your children to school because you want to find a reason to show them love, and you want to feel satisfied that they are learning some soul lessons like patience, perseverance, discipline. So you go through a lot of difficulties yourself to send your children to school, because the process of going to school is important, not the award. Otherwise you can also teach them at home and make them give exams, and that should be sufficient. So when you are working on yourself, also realize that it is the process which is important, and you have to be more and more positive with a lot of effort to stay positive, because as you go higher, your soul tests become tough, and so you have to achieve higher immunity, more rationality while doing spirituality. So spirituality and psychology integrate, and spirituality and rationality integrate at higher levels. There is no atheism. Atheism is at lower levels. When you are questioning God and you are saying that, I didn't get ice cream at this time, so God doesn't exist. It's like that, you don't get this reward, so God doesn't exist. So no, you did the process wrong. Probably you never imagined eating ice cream. You never combined your mental action with your thought. And God is not supposed to do that mental action for you, mental, physical action, coordination. God is just supposed to guide you, do this mental action. We are not supposed to spoon feed our children. So similarly, you have to work on the process of creation yourself. And saying that you don't believe and laughing off the process harms you yourself. So this process is very, very technical. It is very complicated, and it has to be expensive. more expensive than spending on alcohol, jewelry, cars, mobiles, or parties. You cannot spend more on a dress, on a fashion costume than on therapy. And people are charging less because therapy is by itself very rewarding, and it is difficult to convince the clients to pay more. But if you see in the Western countries, they are charging a lot more. So in the Western countries, $100 per hour is minimum, and normal is $250 per hour. So because they appreciate mind work. Here in India, the only appreciation is jewelry, clothes, showing off in cars, being married to people you may not love anymore, but staying married for public, and then refusing therapy also in case the marriage breaks. And then there is no hope of happiness anywhere, and then you become depressed. So you have to find your loopholes. You have to find ways out. You can't stay married, but you can have affairs or friends. You go into meditation, you go into prayers, do something to make yourself happy. And what you invest on, the amount you invest multiplies. It's like a seed. What you pay for therapy is like a seed. And if it's a big seed, it will multiply a lot more. If it's a small seed, it will just, you can just discard it as if, the therapist didn't say anything, or you can say, oh, it didn't work for me, and you can just discard it. But if you pay high, you work at it. Whether it's with a psychologist or with a hypnotherapist or a past life therapist, you work when you invest. You don't work if you don't invest. So I have also paid for therapies myself, and when I have paid less, the struggle has been very big for me. But when I have paid more, the struggle has been very less for me. It has instantly healed. Because the subconscious mind responds to the amount of investment, the amount of energy you put in, and your subconscious mind helps you release. Because it gets fuel. From the amount you pay to another, it gets fuel, it gets energy. What you pay for healing or psychology or mind work, you are fueled from earth. Because mind is very powerful, subconscious mind is very powerful. It gives you fuel depending on your conscious mind's decision to invest on it. So this is a personal process, but I am spreading these awakening messages because I won't be alive all the time. And the process has to evolve. Mind work has to evolve. We have a lot of depressions, we have a lot of terrorism, we have a lot of war. So the process has to come to a situation where you invest on peacefulness, where you invest on learning how to be peaceful, where you invest on learning how to be positive from your schooling years. Who's going to teach you when you're adults? When you're adults, you have to pay a lot more. Here your parents are paying. You learn the process of patience, learn the process of positive thinking. So I am probably the same soul as Aristotle was or Parshuram was, and we have been teaching, but we also evolve over time. And it's not that we have to eternally live on earth. We can exit the planet and go on higher realms, and that is the purpose of evolution. So Satyuga is coming, and maybe 2000 years are remaining for humanity, but when it ends, they have to go on higher planets, or they have to evolve to the next, after the ice ages, they evolve to the next level of humanity, which is bird humans. So you can't fly unless you fly in the mind. And to become a bird human, you have to learn flying here. And learn flying mentally means leaps of faith. Move where there is no ground. Make an effort to be positive so that you don't fall. It's a very difficult process. It's a complicated process. Invest on it. Schools have to invest on it. Teachers have to invest on it. Parents have to invest on it. And adults have to invest on it. So, investment matters. People ask me, what is the connection between therapy and money? Your mind matters. I never had these questions because probably I'm an advanced soul. So it was difficult, very difficult for me to pay, but I paid whatever I could. And because I had so many financial problems, because my son does not speak and all the money was going on therapy, and because that is why, because whatever I invested, it grew a lot. So if you have, that is why even in my sessions, if you're earning less, I will give you more sessions in the same amount of money. If you're earning more, I will give you less sessions in the same amount of money, Because investment is yours, learning is yours. So you invest as much as required for your seed to flourish. If you need an aeroplane, you fill in aeroplane fuel. If you are aiming for a cycle, you fill in cycle fuel. Decide on what, are you looking for a higher amount of happiness? Are you looking for compromise with life? If you are looking for a goalless life and just being, existing and high well-being, that is also fine. Then you don't need past life regression therapy. But if you are going in for past life regression therapy with soul healing, it means that you have higher aims, your karma is calling you, you have a destiny, and you can help a lot of people, maybe help your children a lot more than you are doing now. So normally my sessions are life saving. There's somebody's life getting saved in the sessions always. And if I get cooperation from the parents, then it is very, very good. If I don't get cooperation from the parents, then it's a problem, because these are life saving sessions. So there is something called suicide prevention center, which if you have children who are trying to be suicidal, you should send your children there, and it really helps. Some of my clients have sent the children there, and it really helps them prevent at least the thought of suicide. So the children live and then they are ready to struggle. So you have to decide to live first and then you struggle, right? So suicide is not an option. It will increase problems for you and your parents will be miserable. So suicide is definitely not an option. And you have to work towards increasing your willpower so that you are positive and you are happy. Whatever goal you achieve, whatever you do, the goal is to be happy and peaceful. Thank you.